Let's begin in the quietest, most dangerous hour of the day. It is usually around 11 p.m. or perhaps right when you wake up before your defenses are fully online. There is a ghost in your room. It is not a sheet with eye holes, it is a feeling. It is a heaviness in the center of your chest, a phantom vibration in your pocket, a song playing on a loop in the back of your skull. You miss them. You miss the person who by all logical metrics destroyed you. You miss the person who lied. You miss the person who made you feel invisible. You miss the chaos. And immediately following this feeling of longing comes a wave of shame. You judge yourself. You think, I am smart, I am independent, I have read the books on attachment theory. I know what a red flag looks like, so why am I pining for a forest fire? Why am I craving the very poison that made me sick? You feel like a traitor to your own self-respect, but I want you to stop the judgment right now. Put down the whip. You are not stupid. You are not weak. You are a biological organism that has been hacked. You are surviving a chemical warfare that was waged inside your own nervous system. To understand why you miss the monster, we have to look under the hood of the machine. We have to look at the addiction to the high. You see, a healthy relationship is like a slow-burning hearth. It is warm, consistent, and safe. It doesn't explode. It just burns. But a toxic relationship, that is a fireworks show. And you have been conditioned by Hollywood, by trauma, by the adrenaline junkie culture of the West to mistake fireworks for love. When you were with them, your body was constantly flooded with a cocktail of hormones. Cortisol from the stress of walking on eggshells, adrenaline from the fights, and then the most powerful drug of all, dopamine. Dopamine is not the pleasure molecule, it is the anticipation molecule, it is the molecule of maybe. In a toxic dynamic, you never knew what version of them you were going to get. Would they be the sweet, charming angel you fell in love with? Or would they be the cold, distant stranger? This uncertainty created a trauma bond. Your brain became hyper-focused on them, scanning for microsignals, waiting for the good version to return. And when they finally threw you a crumb of affection, a text back, a compliment, a good night, your brain exploded with relief. That relief felt like euphoria. That relief felt like the greatest love story ever told. But it wasn't love. It was the cessation of pain. You are not missing the person, you are missing the rush of the pain stopping. You are missing the extreme contrast. Peace feels boring to an addict. Stability feels like death to a nervous system that has learned to survive on chaos. We must also talk about the shadow. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, taught us that we fall in love with people who embody the parts of ourselves that we have rejected. You likely are the good one. You are the fixer. You are the responsible one. You hold it all together. You repress your anger, you repress your selfishness, you repress your wildness, and then you met them. And they were wild, they were selfish, they were untamed. They did whatever they wanted regardless of the consequences, and a part of you, a deep hidden shadow part of you, was intoxicated by that freedom. You didn't just want to be with them, you wanted to be them. You missed their recklessness because you are so tired of being responsible. You miss their unpredictability because you are so tired of holding up the sky. They became the screen onto which you projected your own unlived life. So when they left, it felt like they took your vitality with them. You feel gray, flat, and lifeless because you outsourced your aliveness to them. You made them the carrier of your fire. And now you are cold. But the fire was never theirs. The fire was always yours, hidden in the basement of your psyche, waiting for you to claim it, without needing a chaotic partner to light the match. And then there is the sunk cost fallacy of the soul. This is a trap that smart people fall into most often. You look at the time you spent, the 2 years, the 5 years, the decade. You look at the emotional capital you invested, the nights you stayed up talking them off a ledge, the money you lent them, the excuses you made for them to your friends. You built a massive structure of investment. To walk away now, to admit that they were bad for you, forces you to confront a terrifying reality that you made a mistake, that you were fooled, that you wasted your time. The ego hates to waste time. The ego hates to be wrong. So the ego whispers, if I can just get them back, if I can just make it work, then all that suffering wasn't for nothing. It was the price of admission for a great redemption story. And you are waiting for the redemption arc. You are waiting for the third act of the movie where the beast turns into the prince. But real life is not a movie. In real life, the beast usually stays a beast, and the longer you stay in the theater waiting for the ending to change, the more of your actual life you are missing. You miss them because you are still waiting for the return on investment. You need to declare bankruptcy on this relationship. You need to write it off as a loss. It hurts to lose, but it destroys you to keep betting on a losing horse. Let's go deeper into the void. This is the thing we are most afraid of in American culture. We are terrified of emptiness. We fill our silence with podcasts. We fill our eyes with scrolling. We fill our hearts with unavailable people. Because if we stop, if we sit in the silence, we have to face ourselves. We have to face the ancient wound that says, I am not enough. The toxic partner was a magnificent distraction. They were a full-time job. You woke up thinking about them. You went to sleep worrying about them. You checked their location. You analyzed their tone. They consumed all your bandwidth. They saved you from having to look at your own life. Now that they are gone, you are unemployed. You have been fired from the job of fixing them. And you are standing in the middle of your own life, looking at the empty room, and you are terrified. You feel the void, and you mistake the void for missing them. You think, I miss them so much I feel empty. No. You feel empty, and your brain is using missing them as a way to avoid the emptiness. You are using their memory as a shield against the sins. You would rather feel the sharp, familiar pain of heartbreak than the dull, terrifying ache of the unknown. There is also the fantasy of potential. This is the ghost that haunts the most empathetic among us. You didn't fall in love with the person who screamed at you. You fell in love with the person they could be. You saw their glimmer. You saw the wounded child beneath the armor. You saw who they were for that one weekend in October when everything was perfect. And you took that 5% of potential and you expanded it to 100% of the relationship. You fell in love with a hologram. You fell in love with a trailer for a movie that was never made. When you miss them, you are not missing the reality of Tuesday night when they ignored you. You are missing the fantasy of the future you built in your head. You are grieving a life that never existed. You are grieving the us that was promised but never delivered. It is hard to grieve a fantasy because it doesn't have a body. It is a ghost. You have to kill the ghost. You have to look at the reality, the cold, hard facts of how they treated you, and use that as your weapon. Every time your mind drifts to the fantasy, you must drag it back to the evidence. You must be a forensic investigator of your own heartbreak. Look at the texts, look at the tears, look at the anxiety. That was the reality. The rest was just a sales pitch. And we must address the physiology of withdrawal. This is not a metaphor. Your body is physically addicted to the peptide release of high-stress emotions. When you are in a chaotic relationship, your baseline for stimulation is set very high. You are used to high highs and low lows. Now, in the aftermath, you are likely in a state of hypoarousal. You feel numb. You feel flat. Food doesn't taste good. Colors aren't bright. This is the gray zone of recovery. It feels like depression, but it is actually your nervous system recalibrating. It is trying to find a new baseline. It is trying to learn how to function without the cortisol spikes. This is the danger zone. This is when most people relapse, because you just want to feel something again. You want the hit. You miss them because you miss the intensity of feeling alive, even if that aliveness was painful. You have to trust the gray zone. You have to trust that your capacity for joy will return, but it will be a different kind of joy. It will be the joy of a slow sunrise, not the joy of a burning building. It will be the joy of peace, but peace feels dangerous to a survivor. If you grew up in a home that was chaotic, if you had parents who were inconsistent, then chaos feels like home. Peace feels suspicious. When things are calm, you are waiting for the other shoe to drop. So when you met this person who was bad for you, your subconscious mind said, "Ah, I know this. This is familiar. This is what love feels like." You miss them because they fit the groove of your childhood trauma perfectly. They were the puzzle piece that matched your wound. Healing means changing the shape of the puzzle piece. It means rejecting the familiar hell for the unfamiliar heaven. It means rewiring your definition of love. Love is not anxiety. Love is not wondering where you stand. Love is not having to earn basic decency. Love is the nervous system settling down. Love is the exhale. So how do we release this ghost? How do we exercise the craving? First, you must practice radical acceptance. You must accept that you miss them. Do not fight it. Do not shame it. Say to yourself, I miss them and they were bad for me. Both things can be true. You can miss the drug and still know it is killing you. You can love the arsonist and still call the police. Allow the feeling of longing to wash over you like a wave. Do not dive into the wave. Stand on the shore and watch it. It will crest, it will break, and it will recede. It always recedes. The problem is when you grab your surfboard and try to ride the wave back into the ocean. Just watch it. Here is the longing. Here is the addiction. It is just a sensation. It is not a command. Next, you must become the guardian of your own mind. You must starve the beast. Every time you check their social media, you are feeding the beast. Every time you ask a mutual friend about them, you are feeding the beast. Every time you look at old photos, you are feeding the beast. You are keeping the neural pathways alive. You must let the path grow over with weeds. You must implement a zero-contact policy, not as a manipulation to get them back, but as a sanctuary for your own healing. You cannot heal a wound while you are still touching it. You need to wrap it in bandages and let it be. And finally, you must begin the work of reparenting. You miss them because you are looking for someone to save you, to validate you, to tell you that you are worthy. You have to be that person for yourself. I know it sounds like a cliché, but it is the only way out. You have to take that inner child, the one who is crying for the toxic parent partner, and hold them. You have to say, I have you. I am not leaving. I am consistent. I am safe. You have to build a life that is so full, so rich, so aligned with your true values that a toxic person has no room to enter. You have to fall in love with your own solitude. You have to find the spark in the sunset, in the taste of coffee, in the feeling of clean sheets, in the laughter of friends. You have to retrain your brain to find pleasure in the simple, the quiet, the real. You are going through a fire, yes, but you are not being burned, you are being forged. You are being smelted down to your essence. The person who emerges from this will not be the same person who went in. You will be stronger. You will be wiser. You will have a radar for bullshit that is finely tuned. You will know the difference between a firework and a hearth. And one day you will look back at this time, at this desperate longing, and you will not feel shame. You will feel compassion for the version of you that was just trying to find love in a graveyard. You will smile and you will keep walking light and free into your own life. The ghost is fading. The sun is rising. You are still here. You survived them. Now go survive the withdrawal. And on the other side is you.